You can use the H-Factor to manage the entire recruitment process. You start by going to Positions and then go to the Recruitment Centre. In the Recruitment Centre, you can start a new recruiting process. You can manage existing recruiting that's in progress. You can view all your past recruiting processes and all your previous offers of employment. You start the recruiting process by selecting which position you want to recruit into, and you create a selection panel for the people who are going to help you manage the process by assessing the candidates and assisting with the interviews. You say the location where the position is going to be vacant, and of course you say which date the applications close. You also can enter here an email text for unsuitable candidates, so it might be something like, "Thank you for your application. Unfortunately, on this occasion you have not been successful." And you then get to say who you would like that email to have appeared to have come from. So in the H-Factor it might be info@the-H-Factor. Once you click Submit, it creates a recruitment. Once the recruitment is created, you can edit that recruitment. So for example, if you want to update the selection panel, or you might want to change the email text for candidates that you've interviewed so that it's a little bit more nuanced than those you didn't interview. The system will draft the advertisement for you. So if you click on View, the system will actually draw up a draft ad. This can be then cut and paste and put into platforms such as Seek. You'll note down the bottom there's instructions on how to apply. And what makes the H-Factor different is that we don't collect resumes or CVs from the candidates. Instead, the candidates are sent off to a link where they will log in separately to the system and create an application based on this recruitment ID. So it's important when you cut and paste this into platforms such as Seek that you copy the To Apply section. Candidates are sent to the recruiting portal, and on the recruiting portal there'll be instructions on how they can actually apply. They can edit an existing application, and of course there's information about their data and privacy notice. They enter the recruitment ID, confirm that this is the position that they were looking at, and then click Apply Now. The system will now display the position that's been advertised, including the values of the organisation, and it will ask them to complete information about themselves, starting with their name and of course an email address. As part of their application, candidates have to tell us more about why they want to choose to work with us, what they'd like to contribute to our purpose and the organisation objectives, what things are important to them in an organisation, how they define good leadership, and any other information they'd like to tell us. You can see that this is more nuanced than just sending a CV. We're asking them to tell us about why they want to work with us. And when we go to the next section, they'll be asked to complete their qualifications and experience, their employment history, and provide us a little bit more information. So we're going to ask them, how will they achieve the outcomes of the position? How will you use your expertise and experience? And how do you demonstrate the position requirements? And finally, what is their weekly salary expectation? Importantly, none of these are required fields. So obviously if a candidate doesn't submit any information, it makes it very easy to assess their application. Once they've completed their application, they'll get a confirmation message. And of course they can go back to the recruitment portal at any time and edit their application up until the application close date. So once the applicants have lodged their application, the recruitment panel can now go and assess those applications. You can see we've had 3 candidates apply for the position. When we go into review candidates, you can see which candidates have been rated already and by whom, and what score has been given. So when we click Assess, we see details about the position, and we can now see the responses that the candidates gave to those questions that we asked them. We can see their employment history and education and qualifications, and now we can add our application assessment. And we give a rating between 0 and 10 for 6 categories. How well we think they can perform the essential outcomes, whether we think they've got the skills to deliver the essential outcomes, what information have they given us about their alignment with our values, what we consider their communication skills, leadership capability, and finally a gut feel score. You know, sometimes you look at this information and your gut feel just tells you that a candidate is suitable or not suitable. We don't want to lose that in the process. Finally, we acknowledge the privacy, then we click Submit. Once we've clicked Submit, Our assessment will be added to the existing assessments, and the score will be averaged over all the people who assess the candidates. Once we've done those assessments, we can go back to assess candidate, and we can now choose who to interview. We can choose who to interview based on the assessment's application score. The higher the score, the more likely it is the person's going to be able to meet the requirements of the position. So now we can click whether the candidate is suitable or not. So for those people we want to interview, we'll keep the candidate as suitable as yes. For those that we don't want to interview, we would select the candidate as suitable as no. Once we have clicked no, the candidate is not suitable, within 24 hours, the system will send the email that we set up when we initially created the recruitment process. So now we come to the interview part, and again we can go back to the assessment. If we want help with that, there's sample interview questions built in. After the interview, we can assess the candidate against exactly the same criteria that we assessed their application. We click submit, and that assessment gets added to the others that have already been made or being made. So now we've assessed the candidate based on their application, and we've assessed the candidate based on their interview. We can then make a decision about which candidates we might be interested in making an offer to. And before that, we might want to do a referee check. So we can complete the referee check by saying who we spoke to, the company name that that person was from, confirm their employment, ask some questions about what they were responsible for in their position, would they be rehired and why, what areas the person excelled in, what could they improve on, and finally we give a rating. So now we've got enough information to decide who we want to recruit. From the Recruitment Centre, we can now make the job offer to the person. If we've already made an offer to a person and we need to edit it, the offer will appear here and we'll have the option to edit it. The system tells us a little bit about what happens when we make the offer. First of all, we select the candidate, we select their start date, the type of employment. If the employment type is a contract, then when the contract will end, any other conditions associated with the employment, the normal hours of work, the salary or hourly rate, whether it's an above award rate, the notice period during the probation period and after the probation period, the employer's legal name, the contact at the employer, the contact's email and the contact's phone number. When we have entered that data and we click submit, the system will email the candidate with the employment offer. They'll also get a link to log in to accept the employment offer. When the employee has accepted the offer, the person who was the employer contact will be emailed to notify them that the candidate has accepted the job offer. It's the H factor. It's taken care of the entire recruitment process from the beginning of the process all the way through to making the offer. All employee offers are kept in the system, so you now have a record of the conditions of employment that were negotiated at the time of recruiting.